Welcome back to StabtheDragon Productions for episode 79 as we look at Acre Distillery's Matthew McD's Straight Malt Whiskey Single Batch. This is whiskey review number 47. Now I know that a few weeks ago I said I was done with North Texas whiskeys and was heading south to look at some more Texas whiskeys from a different part of the state. We went to Waco and Balcones for 3 whiskeys in a row. Well, then a couple of weeks ago after work I was driving right past Acre Distillery and decided to pull in to get a cocktail. The door was open. I walked in, but the lights were out. I went to the bar and one of the bartenders was there, but nobody else was. So I asked if they were open and she said, "No, this is Monday, we're closed." And I told her, "Well, your front door was wide open, so I just came on in." And she said, "Well, I can sell you a bottle if you want a bottle, but otherwise the bar is closed." And it's like, okay, what have you got? Well, she had Matthew McD's Straight Malt Single Batch. So here we are. I've been wanting to try this. It is a little bit pricey for their distillery at $58. So I'd kind of delayed that. I thought, well, maybe I can live without it. But I was there, she was there, the bottle was there, and things happened. So I came away with that. So let's look at just the facts. Acre Distillery is my favorite local distillery. This is a straight malt, meaning it's at least 2 years old. It's a combination of malted and unmalted barley. It is a single batch distilled in 2016. This whiskey comes in at 43% ABV or 86 proof. It's a 750 milliliter bottle, and this is a Texas whiskey. I paid $58 for this bottle, and it's only available at the distillery. My total score for this whiskey is 90. Letter grade, A+. Recommendation: if you're prone to making trips to Texas whiskey distilleries, or if you're just in the Fort Worth area and you like American single malts, Texas whiskeys, you must try Matthew McD's. I give it my highest rating. Details. Again, the Acre Distillery is named for that part of Fort Worth in which the distillery, where it is located, in the old days was called Hell's Half Acre. So that's where you get the name Acre Distillery. And of course, many towns in the Old West had a red light district. Fort Worth was much like any other, so it's got its long list of characters, including Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Their gang was there. Jim Courtright, long-haired Jim, is a bourbon named after Jim Courtright. He was a famous marshal there and gunfighter and all that. Fort Worth itself was founded in 1849 by Major Ripley Arnold of Company F 2nd United States Dragoons, and he named it for Major General William Jenkins Worth, commander of the Department of Texas, who had just died that year. So Fort Worth was a string of Army forts established after the conclusion of the United States and Mexican War, and to enforce the border, which, oh well, it's not being enforced now, but that's a different story. So Fort Worth kind of grew up on the Chisholm Trail, and you've got the meat packing plants and the cattle trail thing going through there of the Chisholm Trail. So yeah, Fort Worth is known as Cowtown. Well, Acre Distillery began in 2015 when Tony Formby, a former majority owner of Rahr and Sons Brewery here in Fort Worth, my favorite brewery, left Rahr and brewing beer to start distilling spirits. He took with him J.B. Flowers and Brad Bourbons, also from Rahr, and together they started distilling gin, vodka, rum, liqueurs, then bourbon and single malts, and now a rye whiskey as well. So several months ago, I did a couple of reviews of Oaken Eden whiskey, and one of those included one called Bourbon and Rahr, because that was a collaboration with Rahr. And Rahr and Sons is, like I said, one of my favorite local breweries. So now Acres collaborated with Rahr by how it was founded. Now, Matthew McD's, this whiskey, is a bit of a mystery. It's named for a Matthew McDaniel, a Canadian Irishman from Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, who fought in the Second Boer War and then the First World War. So he was definitely a badass for sure. But as to why Acre has named a whiskey for this man, I have no idea. And it's the website's no help. The information on the bottle's no help. So I don't know what the connection between Fort Worth and Matthew McD is, if there's anything. So the mystery is there, and I don't have an answer. And because of that, I can only give this whiskey 3 out of 5 points because I don't get the point. Okay, so I can really like a whiskey, and I really like this whiskey, but the story behind it is a bit muddled, and so that hurts the history score. But let's look at the bottle. Marketing, bottle, packaging. There is apparently no marketing for this whiskey happening because it's only for sale at the distillery. It's a one-off thing that the distillery made, so it's a single batch. Excuse me. But this bottle, it's the classic styling that I like, and it's unlike some of the other bottles that I've gotten at Acre Distillery. The label, as you can see, is beautiful. I mean, this is very nice label, much like Long Hair Jim was a very nice label. So, they went all out on the bottle and the label. So there's no advertising for this. It's listed on their website. I only found one online video review of this whiskey. No written reviews that I could find. So this is, it's obscure, which you go to these smaller distilleries, and particularly a distillery single batch thing like this, and it's just not going to be well known, which is sad because this is a magnificent whiskey. Very classy, very inviting bottle, 4 out of 5. Composition. There's apparently what they've done is blend single malt in a style that mimics Irish whiskey. Is what I was told. Okay, that's on the website. That's what the bartender she told me that. So this is it's a Texas single malt. It's got some unmalted barley in there, but it's made in an Irish style. So whatever that means, I'm not sure, but I tasted it, and there was hints of like an Irish whiskey in there. So go figure. It was distilled in 2016. So, spent at least 2 years aging. So that would make it 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Because it's a straight malt. So, there's the 2-year thing. Texas single malt, the barley is grown down by Hillsboro, Texas, which is about an hour from here. And really, that's all I know. Well, the bartender said that she thought it was maybe 40% malted grain and the rest unmalted. So that's the composition. 14 out of 15 points. It is Texas. Everything about it is Texas, so that's good. Appearance. This whiskey is fairly dark for something that's under 90 proof and just a couple of years old. But again, it's a Texas whiskey. So if you look here at the bottle and see, it's got a nice rich dark color there, brownish, some red tint maybe. So my score for appearance is 4 out of 5. The nose. This simply has the best nose of any whiskey I can remember, ever. My nose normally can't smell bourbons, okay? Very little smell from bourbon. Ryes, depending on the rye, I can smell a little bit. The floral thing from a rye I can get. Texas whiskeys, yeah, I can usually get a little bit of the Texas funk. Scotch, I can smell better than most. Irish whiskeys, usually not at all. Canadian whiskeys, no. But this This aroma is complex and inviting. I can smell the malt, the Texas funk, a sweet floral spiciness that's amazing. Maybe some mint and cinnamon, honey. This nose has it all. And for me to be able to smell this when normally I can't smell whiskeys, that's amazing. This is the first 10 out of 10 that I've given for a nose. Now the all-important tasting. This is bright, spicy, but also cool, like mint, and smooth. I get a little bit of the Texas funk, but it's not overpowering like some other Texas whiskeys. There's a maltiness, but it's in the background. Smooth, not hot. No real burn in the mouth. Depending on how I swallow, how I drink it, sometimes I don't get a sinus burn. That taste I just had, I did get a sinus burn. So it's not very hot at all. At 86, proof, you wouldn't think so. This is sweet, but very different from a bourbon sweetness because there's no corn. And again, they say it's made in an Irish fashion, a mix of Irish and Texas style. So I'm really not sure what that means. But it's a great explanation for this because when I tasted this, it did remind me of some Irish whiskeys. So it's good. It's really amazing. I can see, everything that's on the nose, I get in the taste, right? I get that sweetness, I get the Texas funk, the mint, the cinnamon, the whole thing. And so again, that's a different thing for me. A lot of you guys experience that all the time when you sniff, nose a whiskey and then taste it. Everything matches up. This is the first time that's ever happened for me, ever. So this is really a stellar whiskey experience for me. Acre has a Texas single malt that I really loved. The review I've done before. This is perhaps a little bit sweeter than that and smoother, but this will be a favorite. This is going to be a strong competitor if I do this Texas whiskey tournament next year. So for taste, 24 of 25. Mouthfeel and finish. At 86 proof, it's surprisingly full-bodied. It's not thin at all, but it is so smooth like an Irish. Not much burn at all, but this is still very good. I do tend to prefer a burn. I like a burn in my mouth and my sinuses especially. I like it going down. But I also like smooth whiskeys, and this is pretty smooth. Very much smoother than a lot of whiskeys with this proof point. There's just no chest hug at all. Nothing in the throat. Yeah, that's very smooth. The finish, the flavors of cinnamon, mint, Texas char, all linger a decent amount of time. So this is really a very, very good finish. 13 of 15 points. Price, value, and availability. The bottle cost $58 in October of this year, 2022, and can only be had at the distillery in downtown Fort Worth, as far as I know. It's just not available in stores, which is unfortunate because this is an amazing whiskey. The bottle and website both say this was made in 2016 as a special release. So I'm wondering if this is just a limited time stock, and when it's gone, it's gone. That'll be a tragedy. Maybe they'll do another one. I don't know. But is this a good value at the price? I think so. When this bottle is empty, I definitely hope to buy another one if there's any available. But the limited availability is going to hurt my score a little bit here. But at the same time, I know that this is a thing that distilleries do. They have distillery releases that are very, special, localized, limited, all that. I mean, distilleries do that, and I'm fine with that. It's just, man, I get so caught up in a whiskey that I really like. It's like, oh, the whole world ought to drink this whiskey, right? But that's part of the business. But if you live near a distillery, or you travel to one, I would now urge you to try the special stuff they make, because this is very good. 8 out of 10 points for price, value, and availability. Neat or mixer? I like it neat, but I did go back to the distillery the week after, and I tried this in an old fashioned, and it was very good, but I prefer it neat to the old fashioned. Something about the old fashioned, I think, took away just a little bit from this. It was still good. Hey, I'm not complaining about the old fashioned. It was great. I'd get another one, but I prefer it neat. Okay. As an 86 proof, maybe if it was a stronger proof, maybe it would have done a little bit better for me in the old fashioned. I usually don't even do ice, but 5 out of 5 points for neat or mixer. You'd like it both ways. Bonus points, well, guess what? This is my favorite distillery. It's 15 minutes from home, 5 minutes from work, sometimes depending on where I'm working. Every single one of their whiskeys I've had has been a home run. So yeah, 5 out of 5 bonus points. Total score, 90. Letter grade, A+. And you might say, well, how's a 90 an A+? My letter grade is based more heavily on how I like the whiskey, whereas the total score includes such things as marketing and the bottle and packaging and the history and all that. Well, my recommendation, if you like Texas whiskeys and Irish whiskeys, if you like single malts, this whiskey is going to be right up your alley. There are noticeable hints of an Irish touch, I think, but the smokiness of that Texas funk is there as well. The sweetness of both is mingled together, but it's the sweetness of a single malt, not a bourbon. If you're drinking your way through the Texas distilleries, this may be harder to find because you're going to have to actually show up at the Acre Distillery, which is a wonderful experience, I might add. I think it's worth the trip. Conclusion. This will be one of my favorite whiskeys of all time, I'm sure. I think it has a good chance at winning my Texas whiskey tournament next year, if that actually happens. My schedule is increasingly complex. There's been a couple of weeks since my last whiskey review. My work and study schedule are being very demanding in recent months. So I may have to make some cutbacks, and it may be the whiskey review thing. We'll see. Next time, I think I'll do a review of, actually I had a special request by Jason to do a review of Tres Hombres, blended whiskey from Balcones. Or is it Balcones? There are some mysteries about that whiskey, and Balcones now has been in the news. So we'll see, but that's my plan for the next whiskey review, Tres Hombres, right? Until then, this is Stab the Dragon, out here.